Yeah, it is.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Burn the Ships. We have my boy Dallas here today. Dallas, what's going on, baby?
I'm doing great. First of all, thank you for having me on the show, man. It's a privilege and honor. I've heard some of your guests on the shows. The stories are very convincing and motivating, and I'm just honored again for you having me here. I don't see what's special about me, bro, but you obviously found something. So here I am to talk about myself and share.
So, the reason I wanted you on the show, Dallas, is Burn the Ships is all about people and individuals, period, who go against the normal grain of society. Now, for the most part, you've been working for yourself your entire life. You've been training clients, changing lives forever. But the biggest reason I wanted to have you on, especially, is because you're an actor. Now, everybody claims to be an actor. If somebody said, John, you wanted to be a voice actor one day, I'd say, sure, no problem, of course. Everybody's been telling me forever I should for obvious reasons.
Right.
But you're at the point where you get cast for roles. You've been getting cast for roles for years. You have an agent now, I believe, right?
Yeah.
You have some big roles coming up. You're getting offers left and right. And you can shed a lot of light on individuals who are at that early infancy stages where they think, oh, I'm just going to get discovered. It's no problem. Meanwhile, I'm sure you're laughing in your head right now because that is
Yeah.
certainly not how it happens.
Yeah, no, that's true. It is definitely not how it happens. It's something that is a constant grind. And one of the things that happened to me was I started doing this back when I was in high school. You know, some of my teachers, they saw that I had the talent. I went ahead and I acted and I went ahead and showed the talents that I had. But the problem with a lot of the high schools and, junior high schools for that matter is that they don't develop the talent. They pretty much give you a script. And if you're good, you get the parts and stuff like that. But learning the psychology behind acting is so much more than that. So one of the mistakes that I made, and I know that a lot of people make as well, was that when I went for auditions, I would automatically think like, "Oh, I'm good. I'm gonna definitely get the role," and sometimes I was not getting the role.
Mhm.
And there were friends of mine that would say, can you show me the tape that you sent over there to them, so we can go over? And I said, no, I'm fine. They didn't see what they want to see. I know that I'm better. This and that, because with my ignorance, coming from a background of doing music, I used to freestyle in the cafeteria at the schools. I used to perform music. I always used to be under the impression that it is a talent that is given to you by God. It's not something that's like developed acting. And so
Mhm.
when I used to go to some of these auditions, the way I went to an audition for Telemundo, and at the time I was considered handsome in their standards. Now I'm an old, decrepit old man. But one of the guys from Telemundo looked at me. He said, "You have a very good look. You're a good looking guy. You're in great shape and stuff like that. But have you ever taken any acting classes?" And I said, "No," because I thought that I was like, "What the? Why do I have to take classes? Like, who the
How
hell?
dare you?
How dare you say acting classes? Like, what the hell? You either have it or you don't." But little did, did I know they were trying to implant them. Is that you're good, but you're still not necessarily there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't up until I kept on, I was getting roles. Did Orange is the New Black. I got roles here and there, but a lot of that was like for minor things. But I later on in life realized that some of these actors are on the grind. They had acting coaches, and I was like, wait, how does that work? So you mean to tell me that Jennifer Aniston and Ben Affleck, all these people, they have coaches? Like I thought they just like you
Mhm.
give them a freaking script like this right here, they read it, they're good, and if they suck, they suck. It was like that because that's the way it is in music. It's not like I'm okay,
Mhm.
John. I'm going to teach you how to rap. Either you know how to rap or you don't. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that happened. I went ahead and I started, researching, and I found out that they took classes and stuff like that. And I realized that while I was getting a lot of these auditions, some of the people that I was working with, they were on TV. I was watching the movie Creed. I saw someone there. I seen Law and Order, SVU, all these shows. A lot of the people that I was working on set, they were there too. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I realized that you had to take the classes. So I went ahead and I auditioned for an acting class with Anthony Abeson. He's actually coach for Jennifer Aniston,
Hmm.
for a lot of other actors, S.A. Morales. You ever see the movie La Bamba
Yeah.
growing up? Remember the
Yeah.
guy, he goes like, Richie! Pew, pew,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
pew. He was his acting coach, and out of 1,200 people, he selects 100. I auditioned, he selected me, and
Beautiful.
now I realize I'm like, holy shit, bro! I don't know anything. Like I
Yeah.
know a lot, but not a lot because it's a lot of psychology behind it, and that's one of the things a lot of people think. It's kind of like, okay, I have the talent, let me go ahead and do it. But now that I'm taking the acting class, it's more about, okay, so when you're delivering this line, what is your objective? Like, what are you trying to say with that line? Like, who are you talking to? Like, right now, it could be a situation where I'm having a conversation with the ladies and I'm telling her, listen, you can't go in there right now. So they're gonna tell me, okay, so when you break down the script, like who exactly are you talking to? Are you talking
Mhm.
to your dog in your case? Are you talking to your girlfriend? Are you talking to your worst enemy, your gym bro that you like, the one that you dislike?
Mhm.
So it's a lot of layers that goes into it. You know what I mean? And some people they don't like my ignorance at the time. I didn't want to do the diligence to do that. So now, luckily, because I'm taking like the acting classes, I paid my dues, which is another thing that is good that we're talking about because most
Mhm.
people don't want to do free shit.
Yeah.
So every time I would talk to a regular
Before
person,
before we go into that, I just don't want to lose track with it.
yeah,
A, what are you doing, Arch? A good point of what, because you said you had the like the talent and you had the habit, you don't. You know what I mean? But that goes into a lot of what we spoke about before we turned these cameras on, which is our dogs.
yeah,
Now, you look at my dog, Archer, he's a herding breed. He's a purebred Australian Shepherd. Yeah, you. And instinctually, he'll herd everything. Where if I'm in this room, my girl's in the other room, he'll run back and forth, be like, hey, you two got to get together. He doesn't know how he does it. He doesn't know why he does it, but he's got these untapped skills.
right,
Now, I'm working on finding a good dog trainer. When I
right,
find him, you see these Australian Shepherds, these Border Collies, and they're herding like ducks in between little narrow gates
yeah,
and running sheep around miles and miles of land. If I just let him loose, he'd probably instinctually herd them, but herd them fucking nowhere. You know what I mean?
right,
So it's all about taking that gift that you have and understanding, because I'd argue you can do it for music too. You can get better at singing, you get better controlling your pitch.
right,
You might have a beautiful voice and a falsetto, but if
right.
you don't know how to control it, then what's it good for?
Right, and it's definitely a great point. It definitely goes in conjunction with what we're talking about because,
Mhm.
again, it was pure ignorance. I didn't know because, for example, I grew up, listening to rock music and rap and stuff like that. And I figured, okay, well, unless if you have someone that writes your music, I get it. But if you're a rapper, you're supposed to write your own stuff. You're
Yeah.
supposed to know how to sing it. You're like, who the hell's going to teach you how to do that? So I thought it was the same thing with acting. But now that
Mhm.
I pay my dues. So a lot of people that are not actors, they would always ask, "Well, how much you got paid for this?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, I used to lie because there were times that I would work for free."
Yeah.
But the reason why is because if you wanted to join SAG, like the Screen Actors Guild that I'm a
Mhm.
part of, you have to pay your dues. Meaning working background or probably having a speaking part on a union project and stuff like that. Like for example, I was in the Maury show,
Mhm.
and there I was myself. So a lot of people think that was acting, but that was just me being myself. I wanted to be on TV and all that. But because I did a lot of free stuff and I built up a resume, that took me to where I am now that I actually have representation.
Mhm.
And now it's a different layer because I was getting casted for like background roles or like background roles, maybe one line or independent films. But now I'm getting sent to auditions for Marvel. I just got an audition for Daredevil. Also an audition for FBI, which is a show that's by it's on CBS by Dick Wolf, who's the producer of Law and Order, as for you all those shows.
So is Dick
So
Wolf.
now Dick Wolf, yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's yeah, that's how you say it. But I have tomorrow I have an audition for T-Mobile, a commercial I just did Under Armour.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying that to brag, but now it's like they're putting me in a situation now where I'm like, now I'm battling all these giants because it's not just me
Yeah.
auditioning for this role. It's me and all these other actors around the world that are auditioning for the same freaking role.
Mhm. You're putting yourself in a situation where your idols now became your rivals. Where
Yeah,
that's a big switching point when you look at bodybuilding too. Because you look at guys that are pro bodybuilders, and let's say they just turned pro last year. You saw them go up in the ranks, they just turned pro last year. And as an amateur bodybuilder, you're looking at them going, holy shit, like I could
yeah,
never be one of these guys. Or they're miles and miles ahead of me. But all of a sudden you realize, hold on a second. When
yeah,
you turn pro this year, it's not that they're your competition yet, because they might have some extra time on you and you got to pay your
right,
dues, but you're on the same playing field as them now. Where these guys might be more experienced actors, but there's no saying that you might not have the better look for the role. You
right,
might not have a little more skill in one area that they're lacking in.
right,
So
exactly.
there's a funny line when it comes to anything in life, where I always say, where the idols become your rivals, where all of a sudden you're at the same level as
Yeah,
these people that you once idolized. You realize, well, hold on a second, he's not that good.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because you could look amazing and stand in front of a judge, and the judge might be like, "Oh no, I like to look better
Yeah.
than that one." And it doesn't mean that. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean you suck. I mean, it could. I mean, I'm not saying that you do or you don't, but
Sure.
you could still be at the elite level. Obviously, you're competing at that stage.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with acting. I could stand next to another guy, and they might be like, "Well, this guy's good, but I like the way this guy said the line better, or he
Hmm.
has a better look for this character in general." So it's tough. It's similar to bodybuilding in that essence, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to give up, because if that were the case,
No.
it's like, what the hell, you're still good at what you're doing. It's just that now you're at a position where you have to be cognizant of the fact that, listen, it all you got to do at this stage is like, what are you going to be? You're either going to be a punk and just quit and throw it all away,
Hmm.
or you're going to keep on pursuing it. You never know. Like, take that criticism, get better. Maybe that particular show that you did
Hmm.
wasn't for you, but now you're going to do another competition. You came out better. The judges like your package better. That case. Same as for me. I might have auditioned for FBI that didn't work, but then I did Law and Order. Okay, well, he's perfect for this role.
Hmm.
So that's when it becomes tricky.
Absolutely. It's not that you're not good enough. It's just that it
Yeah.
wasn't what they were looking for on that day. Plain and simple. And even people argue, oh, I didn't get the role, I'm not good enough, I suck. Or
Yeah.
I took third place at the Olympia instead of
Yeah.
first place. I suck. Dude, you don't suck. You're one of the top
Yeah.
guys on the planet. You didn't get the
Yeah.
role, you don't suck. You're one of the
Yeah.
guys that actually got into SEG, that went through
Yeah.
the free work, and they're actually doing it and getting auditions now. It's not that you
Yeah.
suck, it's just that you weren't ready for that one.
Right, exactly. And you could also take a lot. I mean, if you change, I don't know who came up with this, but it's that saying: if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Hmm.
Because you could use that as an example. Like I remember like going into bodybuilding when Men's Physique came out. My mentor, Dave Palumbo, he
Yeah.
told me that there's a division that came out that'll be perfect for you because at the time I was doing like I had a body transformation. I don't know if you want to talk about that later on or whatever, but
Yeah, man.
I used to be out of shape, overweight. I used to have freaking titties and stuff like that, and like birth control glasses and all that.
Hmm.
But I ended up on to go on a transformation, and at that time there was no men's physique. It was either you were a bodybuilder or you were like in men's health. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah.
I don't know if people know what men's health magazine is now, but it was a magazine where the guys were like very like thin or like lean, but
Yeah.
So there's a division that'll be perfect for you. It's called men's physique. And I thought about it, but he was he's coming out now. I didn't compete on that. I did natural bodybuilding
Hmm.
at the time. But then once men's physique came out, I looked at the guys that competed, and Mark Anthony was the winner. And I met Mark Anthony at Bev's, last year, and I told him, bro, like I loved your physique, but let's look at the men's physique people now
Oh my
compared to the
God.
men's physique people then. So
Yeah.
everything changed in that aspect. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's one thing you could take away. It's kind of like, well, what are the judges looking for at the time? Like Dave told me, they're looking for small waist, not that much muscle. They're looking for this kind of frame, but like that's what was winning the shows. But like now at the time, it's like, okay, you have to look like the men's physique people now that they look more like classic guys. So it's kind of like
They're bigger
weird.
than
So
a lot of the men's physique guys wouldn't make the classic weight parameters anymore. The height and weight class. They would
yeah,
be too heavy, too big to make the weight cuts that the classic guys have to make.
exactly. See, that's the thing. Everything changes. So you could take
Hmm.
that as criticism, like, well, okay, so what am I going to do now? You can take that and say, well, I still want to compete in men's physique. Let me try to get bigger so I can fit into that. Or you could just say, because Mark Anthony, even with that body, he looked amazing. So someone like him could just say,
Yeah.
like, you know what? I still look good at this weight. I can still maybe I'm not going to win a show, but I can still get into movies. I can still get into
Yeah.
modeling. There's a plethora of things you can do. So
Hmm.
that's what I want people to understand is like, even if it's not that level of what you want, you can still do a lot with that. So don't
And you
get
know what?
discouraged.
That's a good rule of thumb. I want you to repeat, but I want you to go in a little bit more, which
Yeah.
is every single person, especially you and I know, that
Yeah.
is ready to go be Mr. Olympia. And we know, even if you love and support every single one of them, they all can't make it,
Yeah.
regardless of their physiques. The fact that there's only one. And people are out there trying to, as soon as I turn pro, I'm going to get a sponsorship that's going to pay me hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands of dollars a year, and my life's going to be covered, and I'm in my, late 30s or going into my 50s or whatever it is. It's like, man, when you turn pro, all they hand you is a bill for the pro card. There's no
Yeah.
sponsors knocking on your door. That's all branding. I have a great sponsorship with Applied Nutrition,
Right.
and that's because of my branding. It's because of who I am,
All
how I
right.
portray myself, and how I present myself to everybody. They liked my build, obviously,
Yeah.
and I'm one of their athletes. I'm Odalis ambassador, so we're on good terms and we're doing great things. But the kicker is when you turn pro, your financial problems don't just go away. So people
Yeah.
need to understand that, hey, listen, if you're somebody shooting for a pro level physique, there are all these other outlets out there for you.
Yeah. It's a lot of outfits out there, and that the great thing is now with social media, I think people are understanding that because they're like, "Wait, these people are fitness influencers, and they're getting way more followers, and they're making way more money than the pros are." Most people don't know who the pros are.
Yeah,
You know what I
dude,
mean? Like,
100%. I'm guilty of not knowing nearly enough of them. I know the top guys, and that's basically about it.
yeah, that's usually the case, and people need to understand. That's kind of like when I was coming up, into working out. My favorite physique was Greg Plitt. I don't know if you know who Greg Plitt
Yes,
was, but
yeah, yeah.
right.
I loved his videos.
Yeah,
I loved
exactly.
his
Same
videos back
here.
in the
I
day.
love this video, his physique, but this guy never competed, but he looked amazing and he knew how to
Yeah.
sell his body and all that stuff. So, and that's just to show people like, you don't need to necessarily, if your goal is to do a show and become Mr. Olympia, I mean, God bless you if that's what you want to do. Maybe I'm no one here to tell someone what not to do, but just don't think about it where, okay, I'm going to get this Mr. Olympia win. And then no, you could still, you could do a shitload of things right now with the body
Yeah.
you have. But you'd be surprised because even like myself, bro, I'm like a small fish at Bev's. But I remember before I got to Bev's, I was working out at this gym in Freeport. It's called Retro, and I mean, I got a second transformation after I was a correctional officer. I got in the best shape of my life again when I decided to come back to training. And listen, bro, I always cover myself, but then at the time, I remember one day I was wearing like a tank top or something, and then everybody was coming up to me at the gym. Oh my God, you look great. And even like the one guy that competes, he came up to me. Oh my God, you compete. What do you do? So everybody in that gym was like, not bragging, but like umping me up. Oh my God, you look
Yeah.
amazing. You should compete. You should do this. And I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that, this and that. But in that gym, every time I walked in, everybody's, oh my God, you look great. Oh my God, this and that. Perfect. So then I decided, you know what? Let me go to Bev's. I'll go to Bev's. So I go to Steve.
Yeah.
So I say, Steve, you mind taking a look? You mind taking a look at me? So I go there because I'm listening. These people are the gym are telling me this, but I didn't tell Steve anything. I just said, Steve, you mind taking a look at me? So I pose for Steve and everything. He looks at me. He's like, Ray, you want to do Men's League? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're good. Your worst body part is your back. And I was like, I don't want to tell him, like, at the other gym, everybody was sweating my back, boy. They're, oh my God, your back is amazing. Steve tells me that. So I was like, holy fuck, bro.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, am I just a loser or failure? No, like at the time at the other gym, I was like their guy.
You were a big fish in a little pond.
Exactly, but that makes you better because it's like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to compete. I'm just an actor, but like what I'm trying to get at is like right now I have two options, right? I could either stay how I was, which was a good look, and everybody said that I looked good, and I can still get acting roles and stuff. I wanted to be someone that's in shape for a movie, obviously not Mr. Olympia or anything like that. Or I can,
Right.
take Steve's advice and get even bigger and then compete on stage, which is not what I want to do. But it's like but I took that constructive criticism to grow and actually put on more muscle. So that's what I want people to know. It's like you're never going to be content with what you have, but if you change your mind frame, you'll be able to get better because you can take a lot of these things and learn from them. I can take that avenue, or I could just stay where I am. But it's always better to grow. So I figured I'm gonna take the latter. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
ahead and try to get bigger, even though I'm not gonna compete like I told them I was going to. But once I lean down, I look even better than I did before.
Dude, that's a life lesson that is told a million different times. Where you don't be the biggest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. Don't be the
Yeah.
smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. Don't be the best
Yeah,
actor in the room, you're in the wrong room. You know what I mean?
exactly.
But it shows itself true and true every time. Because one of my favorite things when I travel and I walk into a different gym, and I'm a bigger guy, as you know.
Yeah.
I'll walk into the gym, I'll have heads turning. Like we're in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They're like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
always a great feeling, but it's a funny one at that because you remember where you came from.
Yeah, it's always good to know where you come from and everything like that because, for example, we're talking about the fitness. I am also a group fitness instructor, and the classes that I teach here are not anything you're going to see at Bev's. A lot of it is a lot of HIIT training and that kind of stuff. general fitness, and these people are doing high rocks and that kind of stuff. So in the gym, I'm like the biggest guy there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't feel content because I want a challenge. So I teach them the stuff, but then I go to Bev's to work out because I like
Mhm.
feeling like there's always another level for me to get to, and it keeps you humble as well too. Because I'm a very humble guy,
Mhm.
but I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes those things do get to your head when people are boasting you, especially when you're in a situation where I was working out in a town where I grew up in, and I honestly didn't get along with the people that were in Freeport where I grew up.
Uh,
So it was more like there you go. I told you I was gonna make it, that kind of stuff because
yeah.
those people that were talking shit about me when I was growing up were also the ones coming up to me, my God, you look great. You look better than you did in high school. So for me, it was not like being arrogant, but it's more kind of like my me when I was a child trying to tell them like, look at me now, like I
Mhm.
did it. Now you can't make fun of me because I was like I had that body as a shield. But at best, it's a totally different feeling because we're not in that situation anymore.
Yeah. You're somewhere now where you walk in, nobody's sizing you up, and everybody there genuinely wants you to do well and be the best you can.
Yeah,
When you're going to a little small town gym that everybody you know is already there, you know what I mean? Like high school,
yeah,
for example, what ends up happening is they're looking at you and they're going, "Well, we came from the same place. How do you look like this and I don't look like this?"
yeah,
And you're making more money than somebody. They go, "Well, hold on a second. We came from the same school. We both didn't go to college. Why are you making all this money? Why am I not?" Then they start
yeah,
trying to berate you, not to your face, but behind your back, and they're saying, "Well, hold on. What's he doing that's a little sketchy? Oh, he's probably using gear, or he's
yeah,
probably, I don't know, he's selling shit on the side. That's how he's making all his fucking money. Like, I'm an honest person." So when you're at a little place like that, you walk in there and immediately you're not on alert because you don't know what's happening, but you're
yeah.
immediately in a place where there's prying eyes on you, and it's a place of judgment. You walk into
Yes.
Bev's, it's the funniest thing. You look at Planet Fitness commercials and they're saying there's no judgments there. A Planet Fitness is the
Right.
most judgy place on the planet.
Yes,
A
100%.
100%. You walk into Bev's, nobody gives a shit. They couldn't care less if you're there, if you're not there. You get judged at Bev's if you don't put your fucking weights away. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. And if you sit on the machines texting too much, then nobody
Yeah, that
likes you.
happens. That happens a lot.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. No, it's a great thing you say that because while I was at that gym, again, people were telling me that I look great, I should compete. But I grew up in that town, so I know my listen. Uh, I can be free over here. My parents are from the Dominican Republic. I was born
Hmm.
in the States, but I never really fit in because I was like either too white for the Spanish people or too Spanish for the white people. So like going to it's just a funny situation. I'm
Why
into
we get
heavy
along?
metal. Yeah, exactly. So I never really fit in there. So going
Yeah.
to that working out at that gym, you could see like the side eyes and you could see that and also Manny, who's my cousin. We're actually real cousins. People always ask that Babs like, is your
Oh, I didn't
yeah,
know
we're
that.
actually yeah, we're blood
Oh
related.
shit.
My uncle
Mm,
is his dad.
okay.
So Manny wanted to get the hell out of there. Manny's like telling me he was actually gonna go to export or something like that. And I was like, bro, if I'm gonna go to another gym, I did a month trial at Bev's a few like 2 years ago. I'll
Mhm.
go back to Bev's. So he's like, I don't know, man. I don't want to be in this gym anymore. I just feel people looking at me, and this is weird. I just don't like that vibe because Manny, Manny's Manny. So,
Yeah.
and I'm like, bro, don't worry about it. So no, I just don't like it. Like I know people they. So we ended up going to Bev's, and like we never looked back because at this gym, I used to go to a gym back in the day in Belmore, which is funny enough, it was actually called Powerhouse.
Yeah.
And I met a lot of great people that are friends with me to this day. And it was similar to Bez in the sense that, bro, everybody just want to help each other out. It doesn't matter if you're the
Hmm.
big guy, the small guy, people will help each other out. You didn't see like people looking at you from the side. At Bez will look at people like that if we see them doing some weird shit.
Yeah.
That's the only time they're doing some weird exercise like that, which is rare that we see that.
Hmm.
But like we're not gonna look at somebody, oh, look at this guy, he thinks he's big. Like, no, that's not how
Yeah.
we do. So
No, not at all.
you're a product of your environment. So that was toxic over there. And I'm just blessed that look, I came across you and everybody else at this gym and
Yeah.
everybody's just like, cool. I get these acting gigs, and the first people that come up to me and say, awesome, I'm happy for you, proud of you are you guys. So I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, this is awesome right here.
Yeah. It's rare to find a place in someone's life where everything there is positive and everybody there has your best interests at heart.
Yeah.
And if you don't go to, regardless of not going to the gym, if you're not going to the gym, you have nothing that positive in your life, period. Not
Yeah.
even a chance of it. Even your dog. Your dog loves you, but he can't talk to you. But
Yeah.
when it comes to training at a place like Bev's, there's a couple other little ones out there, but Bev's is a big one. It's a building full of people that actually want you to succeed.
Yeah.
wholeheartedly.
Exactly. They all want you to succeed. I mean, Steve, like I said, as opposed to him, he doesn't have to talk to us.
No,
We go up
he
to him
doesn't
and we
have
say,
to.
"Can you look at it?" He
He
doesn't
doesn't have
have
to
to do
let. He doesn't
shit.
have to watch you pose. He's like, who the fuck is this kid?
Yeah, who's this fucking kid? Or what are you doing? And then what does he do? He walks around, looks at the machine. If he sees something that's a better machine, he replaces it right away because he knows
Yeah,
that there's better equipment out there and he can get it, and we're gonna be all happy. So
yeah.
it's an awesome place and awesome experience. And I mean, you can't change the past, bro. But I've been wanting to go to gyms for the longest time. I just never felt that I was worthy of going to that gym
Yeah.
because I never felt big. Battling bigorexia. I mean, I may come across as arrogant when I talk sometimes, but people have no idea how humble and how laid back I am. Because I'm talking about acting, so they're like, oh, this guy's just like some casita, like Spanish guy. But that's not even
Hmm.
it, bro. Like growing up, I was bullied and picked on because of my weight, bro. And it was one of the situations where I remember one day I was playing softball with my friends, and he said, "Oh, listen, my uncle, he puts duct tape around his titties or whatever so they don't poke out." So I started doing that because I was losing weight, but then like these things were like pointing out like
Oh
this.
yeah, yeah.
So then one day I was like, "Oh, I did
Duct
that." And I
tape.
was, yeah, exactly. That shit works. So one day I was playing baseball, and I go ahead and throw a ball. Oh my God, you're just like my uncle. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
had that right there. So that like and amongst other things, battling going up and down with the weight,
Hmm.
and I just never felt that I was worthy of going to the gym, but I was definitely wrong about that.
Yeah. Amazing how it happens.
Yeah, man, it's definitely crazy.
So you mentioned the psychology of acting. What does that mean for somebody who's not in the field?
The psychology of acting is a situation where when you get a script, the mistake that I used to do was just sitting down there trying to memorize the lines
Mm.
and just thinking that, okay, just I'm going to memorize. And I was very good at memorizing lines. I used to memorize my lines right away.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it came from the fact that I used to like write music and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But the psychology behind it is you need to know exactly who you're talking to, what's at stake, and what you're trying to get out of the scene. So it's more than just reading the scripts. And sometimes you may get a script and you may look at it one way, but that might not be the reaction that you need to interpret it in. So that's why you have to have different choices. And that's why we have acting coaches, because you'll deliver a line one way, but it's not so much how you deliver. It's not like saying like, I need you to sit down. But now say like this, I need you to sit down. No, I need you to sit down. That's fucking overacting. What they're trying to say is like, okay, that line, I need you to sit down, for example. Like, who are you saying that to? What are you trying to get out of it? And what happened before that? So once you know like these things, it helps you deliver it better. Um, like I'll give you an example when I was with my acting coach and he was auditioning me for the role, he said something, can you think about someone that's very dear to you and they're standing right in front of you? And the moment that I thought about my grandmother standing in front of me, I literally
Hmm.
started crying. And then
Hmm.
he goes, okay, okay, so now stay right there, deliver a line from the text. Bro, I was like, and one of my lines from the text was like, let's just throw it out there, say, I need you to stand down. And it was like, I just could, I was like, I was crying while I was saying the line.
Hmm.
So now that was like the emotion behind the line. So that's kind of like how it is. It's
Hmm.
a big psychology behind it.
So a lot of people who get into acting, I'm sure one of the biggest problems you see is people that overact, like you just said.
Yeah.
What are your what have you been through when it comes to overacting? I'm not saying you, I'm saying what have you
Yeah.
seen, and how can somebody who wants to get into the acting profession work on mitigating that? Because we come from a place where you take kids that are in junior high school or high school and their
Yeah.
only acting presence is on the theater. And theater
Right.
overacting is basic acting.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how do they break those bad habits?
There's many ways to break those bad habits, and it's funny you mentioned
Mm,
theater because I did theater in high school, and it
yeah.
was a lot of that, like over projection. A lot of it has to do with being present in the scene because most of the time, again, going back to the script, you'll read it and you're just thinking about, okay, now it's my turn to say my line, but you need to be
Yeah.
present in the moment. And if
Hmm.
you're present in the moment, like we are right now, it's gonna be harder for you to overact because it's kind of like
Hmm.
if you say right now, like, "Hey, listen, man, my dog just died right now, or he's
Yeah.
just sick," and I'm kind of like, how am I gonna react to that? Like in all honesty, like
Yeah.
how do I feel? You're my friend. I would be devastated. So I'm not gonna wait for my line. Like, oh my God, John, your dog! I can't believe it. Like Motherfucker, that's not how I talk. But if I'm present in the moment and I'm like, okay, so you're really, so they try to bring you to reality. Okay, like who are you talking to right now? Who's John? Why is he your friend? How do you know about his dog? How long has he been attached to his dog? So that these kind of things, they're little things, seeds that they plant. So once you deliver your line, it becomes more organic and more natural. But
Makes sense.
they give you many different exercises and scenarios. It could be a situation where you may have to make something up. Like let's just say in your case, you never had an issue with a guy at the gym,
Mm-hmm.
but you had an issue, and I say, okay, well, in this scene, you're having a fight with some guy at the gym, and you're kind of like, but I get along with everybody at the gym. I can't get into that scene. Okay, so think about someone that bullied you as a kid, and you're like, okay, so now the guy that's at the gym that you're reading the scene to is that kid from when you were a scene. I need you right now to improvise what happened when you were fighting with that kid in the playground. So now you're saying your line, hey, Jimmy, you're there. Okay, so now deliver the line right now to the guy from the gym. So it kind of like pushed you right there. So you're like, oh shit, I just did that.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that they do.
Okay. Now, a lot of people say that they're comfortable on camera, right?
Right.
But the hardest thing for them acting wise is they feel embarrassed doing it in front of the people that are holding the camera. Or they feel embarrassed doing it in front of the people that are holding the boom mic or standing there, production. Right. How would you recommend they get over that? Because they're fine seeing themselves on camera, they're fine acting, but they feel embarrassed or like it's weird that they're standing here and everybody's watching them.
I mean, a lot of it has to come from make pretend. You have to pretty much make pretend that there's no one there and that you're in the scene with somebody else. So acting is pretty much the ability of being real without other people. Without I'm trying to say it like the right way. So pretty much being realistic without being cognizant of the cameras being there.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. It's kind of like if you're in a scene, you have to be involved with your partner, whoever you're working with, and not thinking about the camera as much. If you're present, that's going to go away. You have to be in a dance with your partner. That's pretty much what it is when it comes to that. Because if you start thinking about the camera and everything else, that's going to throw you off. Unless you're doing like comedy or something like that, it's a little bit easier for you to get away with that. Yeah. But once you are in scene with somebody else, it becomes easier. And it's funny you say that because it happened to me. It almost happened to me actually last month because I was working in an independent film and somebody, casted me for that. And they told me, oh, this guy is going to be on it. And I was like, oh, well, Spanky Hayes. I didn't recognize the name. But then they were, let me just grab it for context. So I'm like, who's, he's coming from Detroit. He's arriving late. So I'm like sitting there with my script. And they're, oh, Spanky Hayes from MTV's Wilding Out. And I was like, holy shit. So he was with Nick, and I look back, he was actually with Nick Cannon and Wilding Out for like when they first started. So I was like, holy shit, like what the hell? And I'm not gonna lie to you, I got a little nervous because here I am working with somebody that's like been up there, compared to me and everything like that. So in my head, I had practiced delivering my lines like this guy from the movie Ozark, and it was very calm and calculated. My first line pretty much was, do you know who you're talking to? Like it was like very like calm, and I was practicing in my head like a backstory, and I was like a killer. And on top of that, I'm nervous because again the mic was there, and then I'm like, oh, so these guys are cool with me, but what about when this freaking this actor comes in that's a big shot comes in? How they gonna act with me or whatever? So that he comes in like about an hour later, I'm sitting there, I'm like, fuck. So I get up and okay, I need you to do the line for me. So then I'm like, I go up to, mind you, this guy's a comedian or whatever, but he was in the scene. So I go like, and I'm all fucking serious. Do you know who I am? And he's like, is that supposed to be a question? He threw me the fuck off. I'm like, so I look at the director and I'm kind of like, that's not, I mean, it says that my character is serious. And he goes like this, give me the script. Fuck that shit. When you're with me, we're not doing that. I need you to improvise. Tell me what you got. And I was like, so then he put me in the spot and I improvised some line. I was like, you know what, motherfucker? And I was like that, like being more like real and stuff. He's like, that's exactly what I want you to do. And I was like, oh shit. So then my partner, meaning that guy Spanky, he gave me a high five, shook my hand, and we started, so that made it easier. So now as the camera rolling, I was like, okay, cool, we're good. Yeah. And I was more in the scene. So that's one thing you can do. Once the cameras are rolling, try to develop that rapport, even outside the recording with your partner, and that's going to make it easier for you. Because then after that, once the cameras are on, all the nerves went away because I know that this guy and me were going to have a good dialogue and everything like that.
Yeah, the camera off time is just as important as the camera on time. Because if you have that symbiotic relationship with you and whoever you're working with, even just trusting the cameraman, you're trusting the guy holding the boom mic, everything. You know it's all going to go well in the back of your head, and all you got to do is your job.
Yeah, exactly. Don't think of it like acting. Like at the end of the day, bro, I was just talking to the guy like he was just one of my friends. That's the best advice I can give people. Don't act. Just try to be in the moment, because that's where overacting comes in. It's kind of like, okay, well, when you get a script, you have to look at, okay, where am I? What's going on? What happened before that? Because that's the problem. Like, you'll read something that says, I need you to stand up. And that's your first line. Action. I need you to stand up. Well, what happened before that? If you develop like the moment before,
Right.
like what the hell was happening before that? Did you have a phone call? Were you outside? Were you fighting with your dog? What was going on? Then it kind of flows a little bit better after that.
What's funny is when I was, excuse him, but
That's all right.
when I was with Dorian Yates in Spain, it was kind of the exact same. I don't want to call it a problem, but it was the same situation where I flew to Spain to go train with Dorian Yates, and I'd idolized this guy forever, right?
Right.
So I got to the gym early. I'm waiting for him. I'm about to train, and there's no pre-workout anywhere to be found in Spain because
Oh, wow.
just because the standards of the quality control of the supplements is so high over there.
Yeah.
So there's a little coffee shop next door. So I'm used to always having my pre-workout as like a habitual thing for me. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
God forbid another animal's in my backyard. But anyway, as if it's not his, right? You
Yeah.
share. So I was with Dorian in Spain, and I'm at his gym waiting for him to come by. And when I met him, I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? How am I going to feel? Because I've been idolizing this guy forever. And I'm spending a week with him, training with him. So the first time, like, hi, like, what's your name? Blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, you having a good time. And he was a super down-to-earth, approachable guy. He was on the podcast recently, as you saw.
Yeah.
And it came to the point, he's like, what else you have going on today? I'm like, nothing, man. I kind of flew to the country to see you. Like, what do you want to do? So I was getting lunch every single day. And the more off-camera time we had, the more symbiotic those training sessions went. Because he'd be able to read my cues better. I can pick up his notes a little bit better, so on and so forth.
Yeah, you have to develop that rapport. Unfortunately, there will be situations where you don't have that. You're not in sync with your partner, and then you pretty much just have to sit there and just make the best out of it, but still be present in the moment. Because you are going to have some directors that are going to be assholes, and they're going to, but at the end of the day, you have a job to do, so just sit there and just make it as truthful as possible. That's all you pretty much can do when it comes to the acting, because yeah, the cameras are going to be there, but once you get that rapport with the person you're with, I mean, that's going to make all the world of difference right there.
So let's go into the group fitness now. You've been in group fitness for a long time, man.
Yeah.
I see your stories damn near every day.
Yeah.
Changing lives. You got 10 different women in there all doing like high intensity training, which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How long have you been doing that?
The group fitness training, I've been doing that right now for, I would say 6 years. It's something that, well, this is the funny thing is that, and I want people to understand this, like whatever you're doing, you may end up doing something else. And like I said, going back, I did have a body transformation. I was bullied. I was picked on. I was overweight. I got in great shape. I went from not being able to take off my shirt off in public to appear on national TV, shirtless in the Maury show. I did the whole dance without my shirt because when I was a kid, the Ricky Lake show was out, and I used to see all these guys. I used to envy the black guys because they always had six-pack for whatever fucking reason. And I was a fat kid, so I was like, damn, these freaking black guys shaking their asses, and here I am. So when I did the Maury show, I did the whole thing as a tribute to that. You know what I mean? And I was also in a fitness magazine. I don't do this. I didn't do it for self-gratification, but to show people that if I was able to do it, they can do it too. And I was pushing my message towards that overweight kid that wanted to lose weight. But what happened? Did I get those overweight kids to join my classes and my training? No. I got females. Females that want to get in shape. So you guys may try to deliver a message somewhere, but it's probably going to land somewhere else. So I did the one-on-one training. That was all right. But the group fitness training has been a blessing for me. I get all these mainly females that want to get in shape compared to male. And it's something that just fell in, I was going to say like fall in my lap, but that sounds kind of weird. But it's something that kind of sort of did in the sense that they were looking for a group fitness trainer at a gym, and I had just left corrections. I used to be a correction officer at Rikers,
Mhm.
and I want to go back to fitness, but I said group fitness training, what the hell? And this is, I would love to see you in a class, bro, because I had a hard fucking time doing this. So the first class that I went to, I bombed it, bro, because
Yeah.
they were like, okay, well, I'm looking at the stuff, and I'm like, what the hell is this? You have to pick up a weight here and then jump down and do a burpee and a squat.
Yeah.
I come from basic
Bodybuilding.
bodybuilding,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Not no combination moves. So I'm like, what the hell is this shit?
Hmm.
So they're teaching me how to do it. And it's very fast paced. And they were, bro, the owner told me later on, like about a month later, she comes up to me, she's like, listen, the other manager, she said she was gonna fire you like mad times because you sucked. The only reason why they kept you was because of your personality, because everybody loves you, but were horrible. Because I couldn't get the moves down. Because every
Yeah.
fucking you see the videos, right? It's just
Yeah.
like jumping around and a burpee and a squat and a pick it up
Yeah,
and a
yeah.
down. And I'm like, how does this make any sense? But then it's all about evolving and learning. I figure, you
Mhm.
know what? I'll actually enjoy this. Let me learn it. So I learned it to the point that people they thought I was like doing that. Like, oh, this is how you work out. I'm like, listen,
No.
I'm not a liar. I'm gonna be 100% with you guys. I don't work out like this, but I can teach you how to do it, and then you guys run with it. And they freaking love it. Like those group classes get packed because they are happy, they're getting in shape. You know, it's not the best lifestyle, bro. That's for you, me, and for the people that go there. We love that. But there's also a market for people that like this kind of stuff. And as much as I knock it, I still do. I still say it to the face, you know, this shit ain't doing enough for you. they still love it
Yeah.
because they're getting some results and they're happy and they're doing high rocks and stuff like that. So
They're having fun.
they're having fun, you know, they're getting in shape at the same time. You know, not everybody wants to, you know, step on stage and everything like that, but it makes them feel happy. You know, a lot of these people, they only have about 45 minutes in a day in between break, and they go there to get the workout in. They love it. A lot of the girls that come to my classes are moms that never worked out a day in their life, and they walked in, they're like, I've never worked out before. And now they're going to fucking Chicago doing high rocks training.
Yeah.
They're doing marathon runs. They're going to family gatherings and people saying, oh my God, you look amazing. And some of them are like crying, telling me these things. So it's a blessing at the end of the day, you know what I mean? So it makes me happy, you know?
Dude, seeing people change like that is the best thing, especially when you see the
Yeah.
appreciation behind them. You know,
Yeah.
when I was training a lot of clients full time, because now I have my company, obviously,
Yeah.
it was kind of the same thing as me, where the vast majority of my clients were middle-aged women, like
Yeah.
mid 40s to low 60s. Really, the 40 to 50 range was all my clients,
Yes.
because they just tell everybody, and they all come and they all bring
Yeah,
their friends, and
exactly.
it just turns into an army of referrals. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
how did you guys get here? You know
Exactly.
what I mean? But
Yeah.
when you get them in shape, they love it. And that age group, especially, are some
Yeah.
of the most appreciative clients you'll
Yes.
ever have, because they deal with so much nonsense all day long. Whether they created the nonsense themselves or not is
Yeah.
hearsay. But regardless, they deal with so much shit on a 7 day a week time frame
Yeah.
that what ends up happening is you're the only person that they see every single week that
Yeah.
has their best interests in mind, that gives a shit about them, that's telling them they look good, that's praising them for what they're doing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, a lot of them in the regular lives they live, when they leave that hour with you, it's back to the mundane. It's back to the berating and dealing with the kids or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you're their one little outlet and escape for the fucking week, man, where they can
Yeah.
just have a good time, relax. Because it is relaxing for them. Besides all the work, mentally it's
Yeah.
relaxing. They're really enjoying themselves.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's funny you say that because I was talking to a member the other day, and I told her I was going to the podcast, and I said, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you, I feel a little weird going on the show because there's nothing special about me, anything like that. So then today she said, I saw her in class and she sent me a message and she said, good luck on the podcast. Just know that you're special, you make me happy.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we're talking about this, it's funny how it works because I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about
Yeah,
her.
man.
She's actually 51 or 50 years old, right?
Okay.
She's an amazing woman that actually wakes up at 4:45 in the morning to come to my 5 a.m. classes, showers at the gym, then she goes to a school as a teacher. She drives from Belmore all the way to Queens, and she
Okay.
takes care of her sick dad that has dementia, that's always like leaving the
Mm-hmm.
house, and they have to call the cops to find him. And she wakes up all happy to go to the gym, and that's like her outlet. And there's
Mm-hmm.
like it brings so much happiness to her and like so many other people that are going through like depression and stuff like that, and they're dealing with like students and house problems, and they come to the gym, and it makes them so happy, bro. It's like you sometimes have to, no matter what the fuck you're going through, you have to be there for them. You know, and that's one thing that I learned because there was a time that I was going through something, and what kept me, I wouldn't say alive because I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm not one of those people that's,
Sure.
I mean, but you know what I'm saying? But what kept me like, you know,
Keep you
there
going.
and happy
Yeah.
and keep it going were the members. You know, they were waking up at 4:45 in the morning to be in a 5 a.m. class. They were there in my 6 a.m. class. They were doing that, and they were happy to see me. Like as soon as I walked in, like, hey Dallas, how you doing? All right, let's go. And
Yeah.
I have a dance for them. I take a flag out and do a little dance for them. It's called the Wepa dance. I have a saying, I go Wepa. Everybody loves it. So I was like, why am I being sad with my life right now? Like I got these freaking people that could be sleeping right now, but they're fucking waking up, taking time out of their schedule to come hang out with me, so I can teach them a class and so I can dance with them and be a buffoon. Why am I being ungrateful for? So that really like helped me out, and that's the thing that some people don't understand as well. Because sometimes it's like I know that we give sometimes, but it's also, well, we're also getting something and we're not seeing that too because we're so fixed up in our, I gotta get my meals in. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. But hey, what about these people that it was snowing and they took the cars out to come to the fucking gym and be with you, bro? Like, be grateful for them, and that's something that's definitely a blessing. That sometimes us as trainers and fitness instructors we don't see that, you know?
Especially not see that from somebody who isn't on our level. Because you and
Right.
I, if it was a snowstorm, be like, well, fuck it, it's chest day, we got to go.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the people that are going there because they love it and because they want to spend time with you and they want to work out hard, but they're not
Yeah.
kooky in the head like we are, but they still go there
Yeah.
and they do it. One thing I will say is the group of people who work out that early in the morning,
Yeah.
when they're getting up at 4:45 in the morning to go train,
Yeah.
it's very hard to do that in the beginning,
Yeah.
to make that cycle of your
Yeah.
life happen. But when you do, and you live that way, you start going to bed earlier, living and
Yeah.
experiencing life like that. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine where she said, whatever, she got up like 4:45 in the morning, and I
Yeah.
said something. I'm like, listen, it is such a good feeling,
Mhm.
egotistical, call it what you will, but driving home from the gym in the morning when the sun is coming up
Yeah.
and knowing that you got so much done that people say, I don't have time in my day to do it. You got all that
Yeah.
done before they even got out of the bed. It's an incredible feeling. And the people that training and they're waking up at 4:30 and they're
Yeah.
training by
Yeah.
5:30, they're out of the gym by 6 a.m. and they're
Yeah.
beating the sunrise. They are some of the happiest people on this fucking planet.
Bro, it's so funny you're saying that because I teach classes at 5 a.m., 6, 8, and then 9:15 in the morning.
Yeah.
And there's a joke going on in class. And I listen, they're gonna watch this. 'Cause I'm gonna definitely share with them.
Yeah, yeah.
But I say that my favorite class was at 5 and I love you 6 a.m. But 5 and 8 a.m. because 5 a.m., bro, it doesn't matter what the hell's going on. 5 a.m. is like a bat out of hell. They're like, they're
Yeah.
dancing and we're having a great time.
They've
And
been up since
6,
4. Yeah.
they've been up since 4. They're like fucking jumping around,
Uh-huh.
dancing up the door. 6 a.m. comes in, they're dead because they're not natural morning people. However, by the time like it comes to like 6:30, they start waking up and then the
Yeah.
weights start going heavier. So they go heavy. 8 a.m. are like, you know, those like housewives and stuff. And I love them. They've been with me forever. And then 9:15 as well. They're great. But going to what you're saying, like the ones that wake up at 5, it's just like, and people used to think, oh yeah, you guys are, because The Rock said something about he wakes up at 4 in the morning, everybody wants to do that and blah blah blah. But no, you generally do feel happier waking up
Yeah.
at that time, knowing that now you have the whole freaking day to do whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But for everybody watching, the trick to be happier and getting up at 4:30 in the morning is you have got to go to bed by 9. If you're thinking
Yeah.
you can stay up and watch Netflix or whatever rom-coms or whatever
Yeah.
nonsense you're watching until 11 o'clock and you wake up at 4:30 in the morning, you are going to feel awful.
Yeah.
Try going to bed a little bit earlier, start your day earlier, get some great things done, and ask yourself, you know, if I'm trying to do something to make the best version of me possible, if I'm trying to do something against the norm to burn the ships and
Yeah.
become this person that the regular society doesn't always see, am I going to be more productive at 5 a.m. or am I going to be more productive at 11 p.m.? And I know damn well for myself, I get a lot more done at 5 a.m. than I will ever get done at 11 p.m. I've had
Exactly.
plenty of those evenings where I've tried both. I'm way more tired at 11 p.m. 5 a.m. I can get up, get my stuff going,
Yeah.
and I'm better if I go to bed by 10. You know what I mean? Get up at
Yeah.
4:35, something like that. I get way more done. But
Yeah.
when you get comfortable and cozy and lazy at night,
Uh,
your productivity, you get things done if you have to, but it's because you have to. It's not because you're motivated at the tail end of a fucking day. You're
yeah.
shot by then.
Yeah, and listen, John is not just talking out of his ass. I mean, I could definitely relate to this because
Mhm.
I wake up at 4:45 to teach the classes, and I go to bed around what 11:30ish or whatever.
Yeah.
And I got a great workout at that time because I've already been up and I'm good. However, because I'm taking acting classes, I take them in Zoom between 12 and 1, and I have a security job at night. I've been I've been forced to a situation where I have to do my workout at the school where I work at
Mhm.
around 6, 5 p.m. Dude, I look like a freaking teenager now at the gym because I'm not lying to you guys. I'm not making this shit up. This is me. I want to do it. I'm just sitting there with my fucking cell phone like this, just like looking at the shit.
Mm.
I don't want to work out. I'm not motivated to work out at that time anymore. It's just like my body just wants to relax and rest. So
Yeah.
for a lot of you people out there, you may be surprised that working out in the morning may be better for you because that's why a lot of these people are not working out at night in general.
Mhm.
Because kind of like me, they've just done so much shit throughout the day that at night they just want to relax. So they
Yeah.
may have to go to a 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or something because at night, that's not for all of us, man.
Yeah. And the kicker too is, you're tired of working out that early in the morning. You're on your phone, you're a little distracted. It's because you go to bed too late.
Yeah,
It's because you have to go to bed too late because you got a lot of stuff going on right now. You know what I mean?
exactly.
But for those of you that are training that early in the morning, you know, it feels great, but get your sleep. And
Yeah,
you'd be amazed what happens. But sometimes you're forced into it. You know, at my size I'm at now, I find if I train with one meal in me, I always train with two, sometimes
yeah,
three, but usually two. If I
yeah.
train with one meal in me, my blood sugar plummets when I'm training.
Wow.
Immediately plummets. Because my body wanted to absorb and utilize that food as like, hey, we've been fasted for 8 hours. It's time to refill. But
Hmm.
I need that first meal in me as a cushioned meal, if you will. And then I can train with meal two. But if I just lift with meal one, man, it's never a great workout. And 9 times out of 10, it's rare that I train that early in the morning now because my schedule's pretty set up. It's a roughing. It's a
Yeah.
fucking roughing.
Yeah, it's definitely rough, but the great thing is that you found out what works for you in terms of like calculating getting your meals in, because that's one of
Mhm.
the issues that I'm having with some of the members where they're like, okay, well, I don't know if I should be eating before I work out, if I shouldn't be eating. And I'm under the idea that it doesn't matter what time you wake up, you still got to eat something. Because I wake up at 4:45 and I'm still eating.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like you got to still get it in, whether it's a shake or something like that. Some hard-boiled eggs on your way there, whatever the case may be. But
100%.
because I remember you and I talking about this. My training partner Manny, for example, he works out fasted,
Yeah.
and he seems to like doing it that way. But I can never do that. But I just feel that it's not the greatest.
It is
Yeah,
unbelievably bad for you to train fasted. Unbelievable. You're asking to burn muscle and you're slowing down any strength training you'll have. You're going to be way tighter than you should be, and your hypertrophy is going to be in the toilet. You'll build muscle, but very, very slowly because your body's going to want to burn more muscle than it will
right.
fat as energy or carbohydrates as energy because there isn't any. However, you get used to it. You get comfortable and complacent in doing what you've always done. So when you
Yeah,
mix it up, it feels a little weird. But you got to give it time to feel normal with that mix up and realize that it is, in fact, a better way to train, to give your body some fuel, to lift a little bit later in the day.
yeah,
If you're used to training at, 11:30 fasted, first of all, why are you still fast at
yeah,
11:30? Get up. You should have 2 meals
yeah.
in you by now. What the fuck you doing? But wake up, have breakfast, have something, and give your body the fuel it needs to really have a good workout.
There you go. All right. So the people there at Beast Fitness are going to listen to this guy's way bigger than I am. So listen to what he's saying. I keep telling you fuckers, you got to eat before you work out. So now let me follow up on that one.
Hmm.
So you're saying breaking down muscle, right? What if
Yeah,
in their case they're doing high intensity? Isn't that even worse? And,
yeah.
and wouldn't like for even like because I have a lot of females.
Mhm.
What are some of like the issues of them breaking down muscle? Like them in their cases.
So women have a much higher ability to break down muscle because you have less testosterone. So
Right.
testosterone and growth hormone go relatively hand in hand in terms of muscle preservation. But women in particular obviously don't have as many hormones, so your body's
Yeah.
going to break down muscle and be more aggressively doing so. It's the same
Right.
reason why you see a girl who's always on cardio, she never weight lifts, and she doesn't eat right, and she just looks like a miniature version of herself. She gets skinny
Yeah.
fat. She looks exactly
Yeah.
the same, but it's
There we
shrunk,
go.
right?
Yeah.
So it's not actually a good look. But when you're training with weights, your body is physically ripping apart muscle fibers. I always describe it as a steak. If I take a steak and I
Mhm.
compress it like this, it's nothing. But I rip it
Yeah.
apart. If you take a piece of chicken, you're ripping it apart. You'll see those little
Yeah.
microscopic tears happening until it rips apart. You rip it too
Yeah.
far, obviously you get injured. But what ends up happening in those little tears is your body now needs nutrients. It needs protein, amino acids to
Yeah.
rebuild those tears up. Otherwise, they stay torn. Now, if I'm going to rip apart, let's say, a rubber band,
Yeah.
and I have no rubber to weld it back together, that rubber band's going to shrink on both sides after you stretch it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So your muscle's going to shrink on both sides after you stretch it, and it's going to be tight, and it's going to fill in that gap with scar tissue because
Yeah.
something has to fill in, and it has the adipose tissue available in the body in case of an emergency to fill up something with scar tissue. But you're not going to rebuild it as lean muscle mass because your body is lacking the amino acids.
Right.
So now you've been fasted for 8 hours, and then you wake up and you go to class. You didn't just roll out of bed and get to class. So let's say you've been fasted for 10 hours by the time you get to class. Did you eat right before you went to bed? No. So let's
No.
say 12 hours. Did you eat protein before you went to bed? Should you have? Absolutely. Did you? No. So
Yeah.
now you're 16 hours fasted, going to train and abuse your body and put it through hell. Now, without those nutrients to heal itself up, you find yourself in a perfect situation to burn up muscle mass.
Yeah.
A perfect situation. And not only that, women typically have more hormonal problems than men, but you're not giving yourselves the nutrients, the fuel that allows your body to produce quality hormones. People don't realize cholesterol is one of the best things for the human body. It is
Yeah.
the primary fuel source of all hormonal production in the body. You're taking statins, you're abusing your body's ability to produce hormones. You're abusing your body's ability to let
Yep.
that cholesterol go to the brain and be the primary function of the brain. There's nobody on this planet that shouldn't be eating like some red meat or something before they go to bed. Give their body something that high in iron, high in B vitamins, creatine, glutamine, that allows their body to run on that all night, allow that cholesterol to be in their system all night, and fuel the hormonal production, thus letting them be the best version of they can themselves tomorrow. And ladies, if you need a
Mm-hmm.
little more tailoring towards it,
Yeah.
grass-fed red meat has the most absorbable form of CLAs on the planet, far more
Yeah.
than a supplement. Meaning that if you have 2 ounces of grass-fed red meat before you go to bed, it actually acts as a fat burner for you because that protein is going to cost more energy than it's worth to stay in your body. So it costs more to burn it. So you're going to burn fat and not burn muscle at the same time.
Yeah. Hear that, guys? Ladies, you see what this guy's talking about over here? You guys have to make sure you're eating your protein, getting your stuff. And they're seeing it themselves because they ask me, for example, hey, like so and so, she does the same workout as me. How come she looks like that? And then what I do just to fuck with them, like, hey, can you come over here for a second? And I don't even tell them I'm doing this. Like, can you tell like what you eat throughout the day? And most of the time, I don't even know what they're eating, but most of
Yeah,
the time, they're like, yeah, well, so I had a protein shake, and I'm like, yeah,
it's always better.
because
It's
most
always
of
better.
they're always saying that they're eating like pro or they're tracking something. And
Uh-huh.
the girls that are looking good, they're doing some shit. They're either tracking something, they're
Yeah.
eating a little. They're like, well, I just started eating more protein. I'm doing more Greek yogurt, blah 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 blah. So they're being more cognizant. And the ones that are kind of like looking like flabby or like skinny fat,
Uh-huh.
that are asking the questions, they're kind of like, well, I don't eat past 7 because I saw Dr. Oz say you can't eat past 7, and you're not supposed to have red meat, blah blah blah. But I'm like,
Uh-huh.
guys, listen, if you want to use me as an example, because I'm not talking out of my butt or anything like that. Like when I left Rikers Island,
Yeah.
and I wanted to get back in the best shape of my life, because the problem that happened was that I got in shape at one time, right? Uh, and after that, I just was not really content with the way I was looking because I became a correction officer. And again, I'm not the tallest guy. I'm not a big, intimidating guy or anything like that. I'm like 5'10" or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be with these big black guys that are strong and fucking and guys that look like you over there. So I'm kind of like, huh. I mean, yeah, I got abs and shit, but nobody's gonna
Nobody gives a shit.
intimidate my fucking abs,
Nobody
right?
gives a shit.
So nobody gives a shit about that. So I was okay. Well, what if I just bulk up, even if it's fat? I don't care if I have a gut. You know,
Put some
I'll
weight
be
on
like a
you.
bouncer, put some weight because I'm at Rikers Island with the worst of the worst. So I'm gonna get my ass kicked if I. So I gained a lot of weight. You know, I was eating freaking halal food and after work and Dunkin' Donuts, whatever the fuck, and I bulked up. But then once I left, I was like, bro, I can't look like this anymore and be a trainer. So I consulted back with Dave Palumbo, who's my mentor, and I went on his keto diet. And again, it has red meat and it has hard-boiled eggs, not the egg whites itself. I'm talking about actual eggs. And I show the pictures to the girls at the gym, and I say, "Oh my God, you look amazing! Look how ripped you look." I'm like, "You guys know that I was eating red meat every freaking day." They're like, "What? You're not supposed to eat that." I'm like, "Who the fuck said that? You want me to show you my blood panel? Like,
Yeah.
I have blood work to prove everything was good." I said, "Well, what do you mean? Eggs, but eggs, I just eat the egg whites. That's good, right, coach?" I'm like, "Well, you have to have the cholesterol. You need the actual egg.
Yeah.
But you look like that." I'm like, "Well, not just me. I can show you pictures of other females and other males that, that did it."
One of my favorite diets I put women on is the all beef diet. I have them eating 4 ounces of red meat 6 times a fucking day, and that's it.
Wow.
And they all thrive on it. They have consistent energy through the day. They build lean muscle. The fat fucking falls off them.
Yeah.
Falls off them. Women work extremely well with red meat because they don't have as much hormonal production. So it allows their body to have the optimal amount of fuel to give them even a shot at producing as many hormones, positive hormones, good hormones,
Yeah.
as possible. Where before their body was struggling to find any cholesterol they could piece together for that hormonal production.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is all true. And it's funny you're saying that because, for example, when I have cheat meals and I write everything down. So, and I was talking to Dave about this too. I was like, wait a second, like whenever I have burgers and fries from like McDonald's and I weigh myself the next day, I don't really go up in weight. Or if I do, it's probably like 0.6 pounds or some stupid shit like that. But whenever, yeah, so very, very marginal, like very small. But then whenever I have like pizza and I have like I love like black and white cookies and like donuts and shit like that,
just sugar.
I fucking go up like 3-4 pounds the next day. I'm like, what the fuck? So it's like crazy how that works, But most people that I talk to, they always shy away from like that. Oh no, I can't do red meat. I can't do burgers. I can't do that. It's kind of like,
Here's
you
a
guys
big here's a big piece of advice I can give everybody. If the government says it's good for you, it's poison. They say it's bad for you, it's a superfood.
yeah.
They say stay away from red meat, eat as much as you fucking can. Eggs are bad for you, eat as many of them as you can.
Yeah.
100%.
You're right. I remember when I was a kid, they had the food pyramid and the bread and all that stuff was at the top. And I remember I was a fat ass because I brought that to my grandmother. She's Dominican. And, Mijo, what do you want to eat today? And I was like, I got to eat what's on this day. That's what my teacher said. And I'm eating fucking, being Dominican, a whole bunch of rice and breads and stuff.
Yeah.
And, once I learned, I'm not doing keto now, but I do lower carbs. And that seems to work for me. I just, work my carbs, either bring them up or down. But just like you said, whenever I do sugar, and a lot of people that I know, like our body just like blows up, but not in a good way.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is like with the the government subsidizing like sugars and shit like that. It's kind of like it has to do with
Also,
with that.
sugar makes you sick. Sugar makes you sick. It lowers your immune system. It puts inflammation in your body. And at the same time, they make all the money from the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
So, of course, the government wants you sick, weak, and feeble at their disposal for anything. The best way to stay away from that and to be the best you is work hard, eat quality food, stay strong, and stay healthy. That's going to keep your mind sharp so that next time they tell you some nonsense on television, you don't fall for it. You're
Yeah.
smart enough to say, oh, hold on a second, let me question the narrative for a moment, because this doesn't make any sense. You're saying the food that's been on God's green earth forever is poison, but what you guys are squirting out of a machine is healthy. You're saying the sun is bad for me, and sunscreen is what we need, but we're the only species on the planet that gets sun poisoning, that gets skin cancer.
Right.
Where every other animal in the world doesn't get skin cancer.
Right.
Just think for a moment. And it's okay to challenge the narrative. That's what this podcast is all about. Burn the fucking ships, man. Say, this is what I stand by wholeheartedly, and I'm always willing to learn more information. But I'll
Yeah.
be damned if somebody tells me how to do something, and I'm not going to at least question it if I don't agree
Hmm.
with it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Burn the ships, baby. That's what we're talking about over here. And the great thing about this, like I see you always have a little book that you write things down. And I tell my
Yeah.
members all the time, I say, guys, because again, I write the now I don't do the hit stuff as much because the other coach does that. So I do like the bodybuilding stuff on
Uh-huh.
Fridays and Mondays. But I go to the members, excuse me, and I write the program and I say, guys, this is what we're doing. We're doing barbell rows.
Yeah.
And I talk to them. I say, guys, okay, so try the overhand grip, try underhand. How's that working for you? That hurts. Okay, try this. Barbell row, try 45 degrees. Try to go lower. Try Yates style. That doesn't work. Okay, what about dumbbells? So not everything works for everyone. You have to
Yeah.
be constant of what works. So just like you said, you have to question and think about it, write things down. So in
Yeah.
your case, you're telling them how the government and all this stuff, and you're giving them some other advice. Maybe what John is saying is not going to resonate with you, but guys, what you got to do is write the shit down. Okay, well, John is saying that the sugar gives inflammation and stuff like that. You know what? Let me test that out. Let me eat some sugar stuff and let me see how my body responds to it. Let me journal it down.
Yeah.
Holy shit, he was right about that. Let me try. Okay, cool. I gave it some time. Let me try that whole 5 days a week stuff. That sounds weird, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to fuck it. Let
Mm-hmm.
me try it. Holy shit. I did the whole eating beef 4 times a day shit and it worked.
Yeah.
Wow. Because you're gonna get so much information going
Mm-hmm.
in that you're not gonna know what works. So just follow one thing throughout. If you don't want to listen to what he's saying or what I'm saying, you want to go ahead and do the sugar stuff, do it, test it out, and then you'll learn that it doesn't work for you. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that's where I think people make that mistake. It's like what you're saying now, the whole faster situation. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but maybe I want to train faster. Okay, go ahead and do it. And then you'll realize you're like, wow, but that's true. I noticed that now that I'm fasting, my strength went down. I don't have much energy. I'm much tired. There's something to that. So this is all a journey that you have to learn for yourself, guys. You
Mm-hmm.
have to, like just like you said, think for yourself. We're not like
Yeah.
fucking AI robots over here. Okay, this is what you got to do. So just try it. I know that some people want that you holding their hand and stuff like that. But even with that, even me as a coach, I still want people to think for themselves too, because something might not work for someone, and that's the other
Yeah.
thing too.
Data collection is the key. And if
Yeah.
you're going to live your life eating sugar and saying, well, this is how I've always done it, I've always feel good, you can't say it's ultimately the best correct way to live if you've
Mhm.
never endured the hardships of collecting the data the hard way. If you
Yeah.
eat sugar and you drink wine every single night and you have protein once in a while and you say this is the best way to do it, 'cause that's what my mom did,
Yeah.
you need to be and say this is best no matter what. You need to
Yeah.
be willing to say, well, hold on. Before I claim this my way is the best way, I'd better be willing to not only back it up, but say to
Yeah.
myself, I can definitively prove with numbers and how I feel that my way is better than perfectly following an all beef diet. And if you cheat on that diet,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not the all beef diet anymore. You cheated on it.
Yeah,
It works
exactly.
if you have the all beef diet and you're like, oh, but I slipped up, I had a bagel 3 times that week. Well, no,
Nah.
you didn't follow it to a T. So if you want to collect data and figure out truly what works the best for you, do it wholeheartedly, definitively, to where there is no ifs, ands, or buts about your data,
Mhm.
really. And then pick what works best for you. Some people work better with certain foods than others. They say the classic bodybuilding meal is chicken and rice, chicken and rice.
Yeah.
I know a lot of women that do not work well with chicken at
Yeah.
all because it's hard to break down that protein source. And they work better with like whitefish. Just because it's the claiming to be best way in the world, it doesn't mean it's right. And every single
Yeah.
body is different. Like you were
Yeah.
talking about with different movements and different modalities for other clients.
Yeah.
Is a barbell row always better than a dumbbell row? For some's not for others, sure. But at the end of the day, are you
Yeah.
physically exerting that muscle? That's what
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah. And that's at least for us, that's what it is, because we come from what we do is bodybuilding. We want to get our bodies to
Mhm.
look a certain way. And I tell my members, and I take them to the side and say, okay, what are your goals exactly? I'm talking about the group fitness class
Yeah.
because I don't have that many one-on-ones anymore. I have a few, but
Hmm.
it's more of the group class. And I treat them like one-on-ones. I say, okay, what exactly? And I take them out in the class. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to look good. I want to get toned. Okay, great. Are you sure that's what you want? Okay, so in that case, if the barbell's not working for you, we can do this, we could do that.
Mhm.
But then I might talk to somebody else. What are your goals? I'm getting ready for the high rise competition. I have to do a sled push and pull. Okay, well, you gotta do it. If you get hurt doing that, then
Yep. Well,
it's part of the sport.
we're doing sled push and pull today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what you're stuck with what you're doing. You can't tell me like, well, I want to get in shape. You can't do. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, if you need to do a pull up as part of your contest, and you hurt your wrist or something like that, it's kind of like, well, you're fucked, and I guess you can't do your competition. But the great thing about getting in shape, like I told all my members, is that, hey, listen, if this curl variation doesn't work, maybe this curl variation works, or maybe you're supinating or pronating or whatever the case may be. So it's all about that, and figuring out, and don't be frustrated, because you got to look at it as a learning tool. You know what I mean? Like, if something doesn't work, just discard it. Now you learn that it didn't work. And the other thing is that if something worked now, doesn't mean it's going to work later on too, because that's the other thing with overusing something too.
And it doesn't go to that. You have to also remember the tough shit of it, where some exercises are better than others. If you're training for a police test and you don't like running, fucking tough shit, dude. If part of the challenge is pull-ups, you're like, but I don't like doing pull-ups, or I have a weak back. Well, fucking tough shit. You better get a strong back. You better start running, man. I hate to break it to you. I know somebody who, she's a trainer that I train, where she's the head trainer at one of these gyms, and one of her clients is getting ready for the police test. She's like 5'3", 200 and something too many pounds.
Right.
Now, she's cheating on a diet left and right. She has to be ready for the police test in like 4 weeks. So she's rolling around like a person on a watermelon. And I was telling her, she's like, I think she's cheating on a diet because she wanted my trainer wanted my advice on it. Yeah. I'm like, listen, the advice you gave her nutritionally is all spot on. I told her to put her on the all beef diet because it's hard to fuck that up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're eating this out of conversation. And it's a quick fix that stays. Now, she put her on. She's like, she's not losing weight. I go, she's lying to you. So she's not. She's like, I don't think she's lying. Said she wasn't lying. I'm like, ask her to write it all down. Yeah. Sure enough, she was lying left and right. She started sticking to it. She was down like 10 pounds in a week and a half. Right. But regardless, the point of that is, especially when you're getting ready for a test or a challenge or a competition, that's on the certain day. Whether you slept in yesterday and didn't train, or you cheated on your diet next week, that date of that event isn't changing. So you'd better be the best you that you can freaking be every single day, because that's not changing. What's going to change is how you perform that day. And if you don't want a diet, I don't care. It's a matter of it's going to work or it's not going to work, because you're the only one that's getting hurt with this. Yeah.
You're right. And that's the thing too. That actually reminds me of a knucklehead shit that I did many years ago. When I went for the Nassau County Police test, the first time around, I was working out at Powerhouse in Belmore. This was many years ago, right? So again, you know how it is with us, bro. If we are following a bodybuilding program, we try to stick to it 100%. Yeah. So it's like, it's chest day today. No, it is chest day today. Like, cardio today, 20 minutes. So we don't like to deviate. It's supposed to be the treadmill today, not the bike, motherfucker. That's what we're doing. So we're very regimented. Yeah, to a T. So right. So that was the issue here was that I was getting ready for the police test. So I tell my training partner, he was NYPD, I was going for the Nassau test. And I was like, bro, I'm supposed to do this 1.5 mile run. I don't fucking run. All I do is a Stairmaster. He's like, bro, what's the time for that? I'm like, it has to be 12 minutes. And I forgot it was like 12:20 or some shit like that. He's like, bro, you can fucking walk that shit. You're in shape, man. You come on, you could do this. And I'm like, bro, but I don't run. He's like, come on, man, you'll be fine, man. You're a fucking big guy. You're in shape. What the fuck? That's for pussies. You got this shit. So, all right, fine. I mean, it's my boy. Of course I got this shit.
I believe him.
Yeah, I believe him. So I didn't run at all for the test. Yeah. I just went ahead and I ran like 2 days before the test. I caught a shin splint, but it wasn't that bad. And what happened? I failed the fucking run. Yeah. I failed it. And it sucked because I honestly didn't prepare for it. But then the second time around, I actually passed it because what I did was I'm not making the same mistake. So I had to change my training around. I said, you know what? I'm going to have to, unfortunately, as much as I hate to do this, I'm going to have to cut out some of my workouts and add more training. I'm going to have a day of actual run. I hired someone to help me with the runs. He's a professional. He had me like running one day, and then the next like 2 days after that, he had me doing sprints. And then the other day, he had me doing like agility drills. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so gay, bro. This is so gay, bro. I don't like this kind of shit. Yeah. But then I knew I was like, I had to do it to pass. I trust the judgment. and I ended up passing that test. I ended
Yeah.
up the one for corrections and everything because I had to change. I was like, you know what? Just like you said, like tough luck. I don't like to run, but I have to do it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that people don't understand. They think that because they're training one way is going to transfer something else, but it
Mhm.
doesn't work that way. It's like you and I, like we do the bodybuilding work, and somebody might look at you, for example, say, "Oh my God, you're in great shape. You're an animal." But I'm not saying that you wouldn't do this. But like, let's say you went to a HIIT class,
Mhm.
you're probably going to be a little bit like, "Holy crap! Like, what the hell?" Because
Yeah.
it's not the way that you probably train. You know, you don't run as
100%.
much. You're probably not doing burpees and
100%.
shit
I
like
blow my
that.
fucking shoulder out.
Exactly.
You know what I
There
mean?
we go.
But what you mentioned with your boy saying you don't have to run and just believe in him is a
Yeah.
great example of what we were talking about before, which is just because the TV or your friend says the diet one way,
Yeah.
don't just openly believe it and go for it. Challenge that narrative. Ask
Yeah.
yourself, well, hold on a second. That sounds nice, but it sounds a little too nice.
Yeah.
Usually the sexy answer is the one that sells, but it's not the right answer.
Yeah.
You know?
And a lot of times people have belief in you, but it's not so much about believing in yourself. It's that sometimes you have to admit to the facts that if you haven't trained for something, you're gonna have a hard time because most things don't translate over. You know?
Believe the person, believe the thing that has the information to back it up. When your boy says, nah,
Yeah.
you got this, you're fine, probably who you shouldn't be listening to.
Yeah. Exactly.
If your boy says, well, listen, your average walking speed is this, why don't you just get a base number? And if you're close to it, then you're fine. That's a much
Yeah.
more reasonable answer than, nah, you're fine.
Yeah.
Get me?
And to this day, I get that to this day because people always make that judgment. And I'm pretty sure you get this too. Anything where like, "Oh, come on, you're a strong guy, you could do it." And you're probably kind of like, the fuck you talking about? Like I
Yeah,
haven't trained for that particular sport. Like not everything translates over.
100%.
Like all these perfect. Like I'm not trying to shit on him, but like
Yeah.
Manny he's in very good shape. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? He's in great shape every day. You see him, and so we had one of those DECA. I don't know if you're familiar with DECA training, but it involves burpees and involves like a sled push and pull,
Yeah, yeah,
high, those kind of like things.
yeah.
So when I was working for one of the gyms, we had a DECA competition, and they had like two spots, and they were free. So the owner, she tells me, she's like, "Hey, listen, I know that you wouldn't want to do it, but you know anyone that may want to do it? I have free tickets, for the competition." I was like, "Oh, well, I mean, I'll ask. None of my friends really like that kind of stuff, but I'll ask for you." So
Yeah.
I told Manny, like, "Come on, man, that's for I got this shit. That's for pussies. I mean, I seen the videos, man. Those people don't even look like they lift."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Bro, like, I love you, bro, but that they train for something else. We don't. Yeah, man.
They trained for
I
that.
used to.
For that.
I was in high school, man. I used to run this. I used to do that." So he goes, "I got this shit." He goes in there with a fucking not this. We had a gallon of water.
Yeah.
He was the biggest guy there, bro.
Yeah.
Like he's straight up. He's short, but he was still the most jacked out of everybody there.
Yeah.
He's there. He's like this. You know how Manny's always serious. He's sitting like this, looking around and shit
Mhm.
like that. He goes for the thing. He starts jumping and doing the thing. Oh, and the guy's like, "Yo, he's fucking jumping way too high. He got to slow down." I'm like, "Yo, Manny, slow down." And he's like, "No, I got this shit." Almost halfway through the stuff, the coach like, Manny, you got to move up. The people there's people behind you. Like, hold on. Grabs me out of water. He fucking runs to the back, fucking throws up, and then comes back. He ended up getting last place, and
Yeah,
then he
sounds
he
about
made a
right.
very nice speech afterwards, and he said, "Listen, I'm so sorry, like that I talk bad about people like that. I didn't mean it, like because Manny's not a bad guy, but
No, far from
he
it.
was under the same impression, like, oh, I'm in shape, I could do this, and he was fucking dead last, and it's not his fault, it's just that he didn't train for that. So
Mhm.
had he would have done excellent. But I said, bro, these people have been training for this shit, like when the gym has been closed and shit like that. They've been coming like on their own, like they've
Yeah.
been running outside, they've been doing the sled pushes. Like you and me have not done any of this shit. He's like, yeah, but I got this,
Our
and that's
bodies
what
are
some
not
people
made
don't.
for it. We
Exactly.
don't train it. It's like if I walked into the CrossFit games, I get my asses
Oh my
handed to me.
god.
I make fun of CrossFit
Exactly.
all the time. The best way to blow your back out. But in a
Yeah.
CrossFit game, guess what? They'll cook me. They'd fucking
Yeah.
smoke my ass. Every time. Every time.
Yeah.
Because we don't train for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's where you have to sit down and ask yourself, what am I training for?
Mhm.
So, I mean, in our cases, it's bodybuilding just to look good aesthetically, whatever the case may be.
Sure.
But a lot of people that are going to watch this on my end, most of them are just hit people. And listen, I love everyone, regardless of what they're doing. I'm
Mhm.
not pushing anyone to go into bodybuilding because just like we talked about, it's all about making fitness fun for you and making it work for you as well, and
Yeah.
and these people, that DECA stuff that you and that's what that Manny did, that you and me are looking at each other kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that shit.
Yeah.
For them, that's extremely fun.
They
That's
love it.
their going to bed for us. So
Mhm.
and that's a blessing. They're getting up out of bed, they're happy. Mental health is a big thing, and for them, like that gives them mental clarity, and it helps with a lot of things that are going on in this world.
Dude, when you wake up and the first thing you do is something you love every single day, and your entire day is surrounded by that, even something as simple
Yeah,
as having your meals all day, where that love and
yeah,
passion for something is sprinkled in every ounce of your day, that's the right way to live.
exactly. Yeah, and that's why, like you said, being an entrepreneur, doing like your own thing, these things are amazing. I could, sometimes, not that I feel bad, but it's kind of hard for me to do that now. But there are sometimes times that you think about certain things. But I'm, well, I have a family, I have a house, I have
Mm-hmm.
smile on my face because I wake up to do what I love to do. Where I
Mm-hmm.
was like a few years back, I was in jail working as an officer, getting shit thrown at me,
Yeah.
getting people getting assaulted, dealing with like a situation where you didn't know if you were going to come home or not, or if you're going to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing too, that not everybody has that blessing, but it's all a matter of like what you want for yourself. You could always change that narrative. Like
Yeah.
in your case, you probably don't want to work for somebody else. You want to do your own thing, and that makes you happy. So
Yeah.
these are great examples right here.
I don't ever like being told what to do, what I can do, what I
Right.
can't do. Fuck you, I'm doing it my way.
Yeah.
When you have an overwhelming belief of what you're doing is the right thing, never turn a blind eye to learning a new way to do it, but have some fucking confidence in exactly how you do things and say, hey, I wouldn't be doing it this way if I didn't believe it was the truly right way to live your life. Now, it's not a lifestyle for everybody. I've gone
Yeah.
through damn near a decade of some of the hardest times in my life where shutting it off and just doing something normal would have made all the sense in the world to
Yeah.
everybody. But when you see a vision that everybody else doesn't see, it's the right way to continue to go. And what's the worst thing that happens? You end up getting a job being just like everybody else.
Yeah.
When your worst case scenario is, all right, guess I'll just do what everybody else does, that's not so bad.
Yeah.
Not a life for me, but it's not like you're going to die.
Yeah. And that life for some people is just fun. I mean, some people like being told what to do and what they're expected to do at work and stuff like that. So there's not a knock on that. It's just that some of us
No.
feel like doing other things. It's kind of like with the whole acting. Like now I finally am able to pursue it a little bit more because I'm
Mm-hmm.
not an officer anymore. I could actually have more liberty with regards to the flexibility of my schedule.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of opportunities when I was younger coming up that I let pass by. Like I told you, there are a lot of people that I was on set with that ended up doing more things. And like being on national TV, Law and Order, like every time I turned the TV on, they're always there, and a lot of it is because they put all their eggs into that basket. When it comes to this, it's very difficult because you have to constantly go to auditions. And, at that time it was harder because you actually had to go to the city all the time. Now
Mm.
I'm actually able to self-tape. So my agency sends me the information over. I read the script. I send it over in a video format. And then based on that, if they like me, I get picked up and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
but at least I'm able to do that. Not a lot of people say they can't.
Yeah. Or sometimes somebody would say, send me a video one, and they'd say, oh, I don't feel like doing that. And then that's it. You gave up on your dreams before you're willing to give 15 minutes to it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing that people don't do. A lot of times people have dreams and aspirations and they don't go for it for whatever reason. I never really understood that. I just feel that we all have a purpose in this world and you should definitely go for it because we don't know how long we're going to be here for. Even if
Mm.
like you don't make it, what is that saying? You shoot for the stars and you only get the moon and stuff like that. It's like,
Shoot for the moon. If you miss, you land among the stars.
yes,
Yeah.
see, English is my second language. I'm a bit of a,
Oh, yeah,
no
okay.
pequeño, papi. Yeah, that kind of saying, but it's kind of like when I was telling some people that I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to go on the show because I'm not like a fucking celebrity. I haven't done that much stuff. But they're like, yeah, but look all the stuff that you've done. Look at your resume.
Mhm.
You're SAG. You've been a Maury. You went to New Black. You've done this. You've done that. And I'm like, wow. Now that I think about it, like I see what you're saying. But it's always when it comes to us, we have that bodybuilder mindset that we
Mhm.
always want. We're never happy. We always want more. But that could be a problem in itself.
It's because this isn't the resume of your life right now on this show. It's
Yeah,
what you've done
exactly.
so far, and you're just getting fucking warmed up, baby.
There we go. That's what she said.
And you know what? We'll leave it right there. So, what can we, if you're able to talk about it, expect to see you on in the coming future?
In the coming future, those two movies that I just wrapped up are coming up. They should be coming out, and as soon as they do, I'll let you guys know. One of them is a comedy, and the other one is a serious film. The first one being a comedy, just to throw it out there, it's I end up I'm like a killer, like this ruthless guy, and then I end up being trapped in some other body. So if that makes any sense, kind of weird, I go from being very serious to very flamboyant at the end. So it's kind of a big twist.
Yeah.
To leave people guessing there. As of now, that's what's coming out. And then I've auditioned for a few roles. Let's see if anything gets picked up after that.
Dude, I can't wait for it. So you know what? Dallas, thanks for coming on, man. And everybody, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Burn the Ships with my boy Dallas. And I'll see you guys soon.
But before I go, you have to say "whippa."
Whip up, baby.
There we go.